A decade of terror, the calculated crimes of Rodney Alcala. Rodney Alcala, the name itself sends chills down your spine. A man hiding in plain sight, a cunning predator. For over a decade, he terrorized California and New York, leaving a trail of heartbreak and unanswered questions. His crimes, calculated and brutal, shocked the nation. Alcala wasn't just a killer, he was a master manipulator, using his intelligence and charm to disarm his victims. He meticulously planned his attacks, often photographing his victims before taking their lives. Alcala's reign of terror began long before his name became synonymous with evil. It festered in the shadows, growing bolder with each passing year. He moved like a phantom, evading capture time and time again. His ability to blend in, to appear normal, made him even more dangerous. Behind his glasses and disarming smile lurked a monster. The authorities struggled to connect the dots, to see the pattern in the chaos he created. Each crime seemed isolated, the work of a different perpetrator. But Alcala was always one step ahead, a ghost in the night. He left behind a legacy of fear and uncertainty, a reminder that monsters can lurk in the most unexpected places. Alcala's story is a chilling reminder of the darkness that can reside within seemingly ordinary individuals. His crimes continue to haunt us, a stark testament to the vulnerability of innocence in the face of pure evil. The 1968 attack, Tali Shapiro and Alcala's elusive nature. Los Angeles, 1968. The sun beat down on the city, oblivious to the darkness unfolding within its midst. 8-year-old Tali Shapiro was walking to school, her mind filled with the carefree thoughts of childhood. But her innocence was shattered when a stranger lured her into his car. That stranger was Rodney Alcala. Alcala took Tali to his apartment. He brutally attacked her, leaving her for dead. A passing motorist, witnessing Alcala's suspicious behavior, alerted the authorities, but it was too late. Alcala had vanished. He fled to New York, assuming a new identity. He became John Berger, a charming photographer who used his craft to gain the trust of his victims. Alcala's ability to reinvent himself, to disappear into the fabric of society, would become a hallmark of his criminal career. The attack on Tali Shapiro was a chilling foreshadowing of the horrors to come. It was a glimpse into the mind of a predator, a monster who preyed on the vulnerable. And it was just the beginning. The Monster of Manhattan, John Berger, and the Allure of a Photographer. The bustling streets of New York City provided the perfect cover for Alcala. He reinvented himself as John Berger, a sophisticated photographer who frequented the city's vibrant art scene. He used his camera as a tool, a way to gain access to his victims. Young women, drawn to his charm and the allure of a professional photo shoot, readily agreed to pose for him. They had no idea they were staring into the eyes of a monster. Alcala's photographs, often featuring his victims in suggestive poses, became trophies of his depravity. He frequented singles bars, blending in with the crowds, always searching for his next target. Alcala was a chameleon, adapting to his surroundings, becoming whoever he needed to be to ensnare his victims. His time in New York was marked by a string of unsolved crimes. Women went missing, their disappearances shrouded in mystery. The authorities had their suspicions, but Alcala, always one step ahead, remained elusive. Cornelia Crilly. A life stolen, a case gone cold. Cornelia was a young flight attendant with a bright future, but unfortunately became one of Alcala's victims in 1971. He lured her to her death in her Manhattan apartment. Her murder, a brutal strangulation, sent shockwaves through the city. The police suspected John Berger, the charming photographer, but they lacked the evidence to connect him to the crime. Alcala, sensing the net closing in, fled New York, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions. Cornelia's murder became a cold case, the details fading with time. But her family never gave up hope. They clung to the belief that one day, her killer would be brought to justice. Years later, advances in DNA technology would breathe new life into the investigation. Finally, there was a link to the elusive John Berger, a name that would soon be forever linked to the dark legacy of Rodney Alcala. By 1977, Alcala was back in California. His time in New York had only emboldened him. His crimes became more frequent, more brazen. He preyed on young women and girls, their lives cut tragically short. Alcala's modus operandi remained consistent. He used his charm and charisma to disarm his victims, often posing as a photographer or offering them modeling opportunities. He gained their trust, lulling them into a false sense of security before striking. His crimes terrorized communities across California. Parents feared for their children's safety. The authorities were baffled. They knew they were dealing with a serial predator, but his identity remained a mystery. Alcala's reign of terror continued unabated. He moved through society like a phantom, leaving a trail of devastation in his wake. The clock was ticking, and the body count was rising. The murder of Robin Samsoe. A community in fear, a killer unmasked. Huntington Beach, 1979. 12-year-old Robin Samsoe vanished while riding her bike to ballet class. Her disappearance sent shockwaves through the community. Parents kept their children close, fear gripping the once peaceful seaside town. Days later, Robin's skeletal remains were found in the foothills of the Sierra Madre Mountains. The community mourned, united in grief and outrage. The hunt for Robin's killer became an obsession. A break in the case came from an unlikely source, a parking lot attendant. He remembered seeing a man matching Alcala's description talking to Robin the day she disappeared. The attendant's tip led police to Alcala's door. Inside his apartment, they found a horrifying collection of photographs, a macabre gallery of young women and girls, many unidentified. Among the photos, they found a single earring that belonged to Robin Samsoe. It was the evidence they needed. Rodney Alcala, the elusive monster who had terrorized 2 states, finally had a face. The discovery of Alcala's photo collection sent chills down the spines of investigators. Thousands of images, meticulously categorized and stored, stared back at them. Many of the faces belonged to women and girls who had been reported missing, their disappearances now tragically intertwined with Alcala's dark secret. The photos were more than just trophies. They were a chilling testament to the scope of Alcala's crimes. Each image whispered of a life potentially cut short, a story left untold. The sheer volume of photographs suggested that Alcala's reign of terror extended far beyond the crimes for which he had been apprehended. Law enforcement agencies across the country began the daunting task of identifying the individuals in the photos, hoping to bring closure to families who had long awaited answers. But for many, the photos only deepened the mystery. The faces in the photos became a haunting reminder of the countless lives forever changed by Alcala's evil. They were a stark testament to the reach of his crimes and the enduring pain he inflicted on so many. Rodney Alcala was convicted of multiple murders and sentenced to death. But his conviction did little to ease the pain of the families he destroyed. The scars of his crimes ran deep, a constant reminder of the loved ones lost and the futures stolen. The unanswered questions lingered. Who were the unidentified victims in the photos? How many more lives had he taken? The uncertainty haunted the families, a constant ache in their hearts. Alcala, even in death, held the answers they desperately sought. He took his secrets to the grave, leaving behind a legacy of pain and unanswered questions. The families of his victims were left to pick up the pieces, their lives forever changed by his evil. The case of Rodney Alcala serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary individuals. It highlights the importance of vigilance, of remembering the victims, and of never giving up the search for justice.